this. Everybody can see. Can everybody see? Okay. Typically, my patient is sitting. We're sitting. I don't treat standing up usually, and they're usually sitting across from me. If I measure off of the radial border, I'm going to show you real quickly how I can do this. So I'm going to find the distal radius. I want to put my stationary arm along the mid-radial shaft. Here's my distal radius, radial styloid. So my axis is going to go right in front of that radial styloid. Ignore the thumb. It's as if it was cut off, because the thumb can move on its own. And I'm going to measure off the mid-shaft of the first metacarpal. Okay? So finding those spots. I'm going to get her at 0. All right, and what am I doing here? Flexion. All right, so I can have her bend your wrist as much as you can in for me. Now come back this way. Look what I just did. And I got, I can't see that, what is that? 65, 60. So I just measured flexion and extension from the same position. Bam, bam. If you measure off of the ulnar border, then I can measure extension, but drop your wrist down. Is that active flexion or is that gravity assisted? If I measure off of the radial border, it's a gravity minimized position, but it's a fully active position in both directions. Does that make sense? Okay. So that's, stay put. So that tells you that for flexion, these are ranges. For flexion, we're looking for 60 to 80 degrees. For extension, we're looking for 60 to 70 degrees. And again, there's the over-the-top method, which I don't like. I mean, I have, because I'm a hand therapist and because of all my extracurricular activities, I have a very, very prominent thenar eminence. I mean, I've got pretty muscular hands, so I've got a lot of muscle bulk that's going to come into play that doesn't exist in this scrawny patient that they're showing right there. All right, radial and ulnar deviation. For radial deviation, we're looking for 20 degrees. For ulnar, we're looking for 30. The reason we're looking for less radially is because that bloody thumb gets in the way. So if I had just measured flexion and I have just measured extension, and if it messes with you to leave your goniometer, you can flip it over. There's nothing wrong with that. I can now have her put her hand down flat. Same thing, different plane. This time my stationary arm is going to go down the interosseous membrane of the radius and ulna. The axis is going to go in the space between the radius and ulna and the carpal bones. And the movable arm is going to go through the center pole of the hand, which is the third metacarpal or the bird finger. Okay, again, paying attention to what the metacarpal is doing, not what the finger is doing. So from this position, I can have her keep your hand flat and shift towards your thumb. And I got 20. Now come toward me. Boom. And I got 35. Okay? So I just did, with her not having to get up and move around, flexion, extension, radial deviation, ulnar deviation. Bam, bam. Pretty quick, right? Nothing to it. Okay? We already did supination and pronation. And then I can do supination and pronation from that same seated position. All right. Now, oh, there it is. I will have a couple of these available for y'all to practice with. It's hard to practice with a long one. To measure the fingers, the best thing to do is to take a long goniometer and cut its legs off. Okay, and there's several of these. Oh, don't look so sorry. They're almost free. They're like $1.50. You know, you can order another one and cut the legs off. It's no big deal.
That is 10 chicken nuggets.
What'd she say?
Preach, girl, preach. 10 chicken nuggets.
If you want to kind of partner up with somebody, then you can cut the legs off of one of your goniometers and not cut the legs off of the other one. But it makes it a lot easier if you cut the legs off. Okay, number one, it's just a lot easier. I can move it with my thumb. Okay? All right, so I've already told you the expected range. If you will remember this forever, 90, 110, 90, except the last 90 is really 60 to 90.
Okay.
But if you'll remember 90, 110, 90, you'll be fine. Because that's the expected range of motion that we're looking for in the digits. So usually what I have my patients do is if they can come up on their elbow, it makes it really easy. So I'm going to have her straighten her fingers up all the way. From the MP, I'm looking for extension of at least 0. If she has hyperextension, thank you, I'm so glad you do, then I need to come and measure from the palmar surface, okay? With the axis going through the MP joint, the stationary arm lining up with the midshaft of the metacarpal, and the movable arm lining up with the midshaft of the first phalanx, okay? So this I do over the top. So you're going to place the goniometer. I'm going to have you aim for an imaginary line right here for me. Pull down as far as you can. And I can go through and go, can you pull this index finger down any further for me? No, you can't. 75. Why can't you make this? That's it? Okay. 82. 80. I don't have my glasses on. 76, 77. All right, so I can go through, and the way that I document this when I'm doing a hand evaluation is I usually do a chart. And I'll have index, middle, ring, and small. So what I just did with her, I don't remember what I said, but we had like 0.86, 0.80, 0.85, 0.65. See how quick I can do that? Just boom, 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 just like that. Okay? So I know her extension was 0, and if I wanted to measure hyperextension, I would have put a positive. Now, for flexion, I should have hit the, hang on. All right, any questions about that?
You said a positive for
Yeah, if it was hyperextension, I would write plus 1085.
okay.
Hyperextension at the MP joint can be as much as 30 degrees in some people. Who's our freaks in here? How much hyperextension? No, active, not passive. Put your hand down flat and lift up.
Wait, what are we doing?
Yeah. Let's see what you've got.
That's nasty.
What you got, Brittany? Do that again. No, sir, you're fine.
Ugh.
Okay.
45 degrees hyperextension.
Oh my god.
Yeah, when I'm doing a note on a patient, I make that chart all the time. And physicians know what that means. They know what 0 over 90 means.
Can anyone not
Okay.
extend?
Now, for the PIP joint, if your patient can do this, it makes your life easy. But if they've had an injury, and then some people are just weird and they can't do this. Can you do this for me? Yeah. I need the MP joint to be straight. The stationary arm is going to go through the midshaft of the proximal phalanx. The axis is going to go over the joint. The movable arm is going to go midshaft of the middle phalanx. So if she can do that or doesn't have an injury, then I can go through and say 95, 93, 89, 85, okay? And if I have her straighten out for me, then I can tell that she's got 0. So boom, 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 I just did the chart again. If she has an injury, then a lot of times they'll do something that looks like this. Or if they can't do, I call it touching the fat pads, then I may have to do something we refer to as joint blocking, which means that I take my index finger and put it over the metacarpal joint and put it just in about 1 or 2 degrees of extension, hyperextension, and now pull that index finger down for me, and I gotta get my finger out of the way, squeeze down hard as you can, hard as you can, hard as you can. What did we get on that one the first time? All right, see, I got 106 that time. When you joint block, a lot of times you will get slightly more range of motion, because the way the kinematic chain in the hand works is the stronger joint will pick up the slack. So if her MP joint can flex a little further, then the PIP joint doesn't have to do as much work. So we'll lose, but when you joint block, you get a true measurement, okay? So if I've got an injured finger, then I'm always going to measure off of a joint block. If I don't have an injury and I'm just doing a quick evaluation, then that's acceptable. Okay?
Do you document that if you joint block?
No. If I know, if they were an MP, if they were a PIP joint replacement, I know I'm going to measure from a joint block. Okay? If I'm reading another therapist's notes and hers are off a little bit from mine, then I might do a real quick joint block just to see if I'm getting a difference. All right, we also, all right, that was MP, oh, I jumped ahead, didn't I? I'm sorry. We didn't look at metacarpal abduction and adduction. Metacarpal AB and adduction is just like measuring radial and ulnar deviation. You're going to put her flat on the table. Axis is exactly the same as it was for MP flexion. Axis is going to go through the metacarpal head, movable arm with the first metacarpal, and the stationary arm with the metacarpal, movable arm with the first phalanx. And I'm going to have her to bring that index finger over as far as you can. Whoops, come back. Thank you. Do that again. And remember, you're only measuring off that phalanx. Don't pay attention to what the tip of her finger's doing, because she could have arthritis and have a wonky joint, okay? So I'm going to measure that way. Then, usually we just look to see if they can return when we're looking at the index finger, the ring finger, and the little finger. With the middle finger, we'll spread everything out and then measure in both directions. And at this point, we refer to that, move that finger over, as radial abduction and ulnar. Can you come over this way? No, you can't. And ulnar abduction. You got some wonky hands.
Good job, then.
Yeah, they work. Nope, don't go anywhere yet.